Former Kilkenny hurler DJ Carey has been told that he faces an inevitable prison sentence on Monday after pleading guilty to defrauding people by falsely claiming he needed money for cancer treatment. He was remanded in custody after Dublin Circuit Criminal Court heard he defrauded 22 people out of a total of almost €400,000. The court was told Mr Carey had suffered a stunning fall from grace.
DJ Carey was in hospital earlier this week with an ongoing heart condition, but today he finally faced the consequences of his deception. He had pleaded guilty to 10 counts of defrauding people by pretending to have cancer and asking for money for treatment. A number of other counts were taken into consideration. The total involved was almost €400,000, only €44,200 of which has been repaid. Detective Sergeant Michael Burke gave evidence that Carey's victims included a cousin, friends, work colleagues and people who had admired him as a hurler. He told most of them he was receiving treatment in Seattle and was due a payout from the HSE for a medical negligence claim. But Sergeant Burke said there was no record of him having cancer or of being treated in Seattle or of a claim against the HSE. In December 2022, Carey admitted he made it up. Among his victims was businessman Dennis O'Brien, who gave him more than €125,000 over 6 years and provided him with accommodation and cars. In a victim impact statement, he said Carey came back looking for help time and time again and was deceitful, manipulative and cunning. He said he was completely duped by him. Thomas Butler, a financial controller, gave Carey just over €16,000 out of his pension lump sum. He said the deception was gut-wrenching as his parents died of cancer. He was a Kilkenny supporter and wasn't comfortable writing his statement, but he said he wanted to ensure Carey didn't take advantage of others. Defence counsel Coleman Cody said DJ Carey had once transcended sport, but respect and affection had been replaced by notoriety, shame, ridicule and derision. In a stunning fall from grace, he said his client was now a pariah who had nowhere to live. He said he couldn't offer restitution, but wanted to apologise to his victims. Judge Martin Nolan said those who had offered Carey help were good people who were generous in what they thought was his hour of need. He remanded him in custody and said he would face a prison sentence on Monday. Orla O'Donnell, RTE News, Dublin Circuit Criminal Court.
Returning now to that sentencing hearing into former Kilkenny hurler DJ Carey, we are joined in studio by journalist Emer Ní-Bhréanáin, author of the newly released book The Dodger, DJ Carey and the Great Betrayal. Emer, you were in court today, but before we get into that, just to explain to people who've been perhaps living under a rock for the last 20 years, how highly was DJ Carey regarded in Kilkenny?
It's extraordinary when I think back as a young person. DJ Carey in the 1990s was at the height of his fame. He was somebody that was adored, that was loved. He was a massive brand for the GAA. He didn't need a surname, he was simply DJ. And the fact that he would attract crowds, attendances soared at Nolan Park to see this superstar. It's hard to explain the enormity of his profile to young people today. You could compare him maybe to Messi, to David Beckham. That's the kind of within national Ireland, that's what he was like. He was just such a gifted and talented sportsman.
And his defence counsel today spoke about an extraordinary fall from grace, and that really is what happened to him.
Today, even though I stood there and a lot of the information I was aware of, because I've spent over 3 years looking very closely at the life that DJ Carey has been leading in recent years. But to hear it again, but to hear it so succinctly and to hear the names of all of the victims and to be in contact with all of those, many of those victims after the hearing even, it is just extraordinary, the trail of deception. We are not just talking about, and it's not to diminish DJ's responsibility in relation to taking money and deceiving rich people, wealthy people like the businessman Dennis O'Brien, but also ordinary people, people close to him, people who were distant relations, people who were acquaintances, friends, people who trusted him. And this is what was outlined in court today. It was very interesting to hear that around the time when Gardaí were honing in on DJ Carey, the kind of life he was leading, the fact that he was sleeping in a car, that he was staying in hotels, that he was of no fixed abode, and that he was the one then that contacted Gardaí, that handed over his phone, gave them the PIN to that mobile phone, and there was an incredible amount of information. There was details of documents, fraudulent documents, we now know, interactions that I've seen, text messages that I've seen between him and very brave people like Tommy Butler from Wexford, who I'm sure it was the last thing he wanted to do, but he stepped into that witness box today and he gave his witness statement.
And what DJ Carey did was he pretended that he was suffering from cancer and he needed money for treatment in the United States, and it was all completely made up.
The nuts and bolts of it, he doesn't have cancer, he faked it. He never had cancer. He accepted when he talked to Gardaí himself, his own admission was that he was in good health, in fact.
And what was said in mitigation by his defence counsel?
In mitigation, a number of things came up. The genuine health concerns that he says now around having a heart condition, pericarditis. It seems to be some kind of a rare viral condition of the heart. He mentioned about the number of valves in his heart, and that he's been attending Portiuncula Hospital. I had heard that he was in Portiuncula but hadn't been admitted twice in the past week, that he was there on a trolley and waiting to talk to his consultant. And he came before the court today. We weren't certain he'd be there, but just to see that he was brought in and accompanied by a Kilkenny supporter who's quite kind to him, so still relying on the help of his friends, and a small number of Kilkenny GAA supporters were in the courtroom today with DJ. So it is a story that's complicated. I understand people are heartbroken by it. He was our hero, but the truth matters, and this has been an extraordinary fall from grace, and I have all of the details of this in my book.
OK, Emer Niamh on obviously sentencing on Monday, I think, by Judge Martin Nolan. Thank you very much indeed for that, and thanks for joining us on 6-1.